In this episode of Grief in Common, we mention sudden death and suicide, and we talk about grief throughout. Welcome back to the Grief in Common podcast. I'm Abigail. You may have seen me on a couple of episodes on here before. My sister passed away when I was 13 and she was 27. She took her own life, and I talk about how it was dealing with a death like that from a young age. Today I'm joined with Henri. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Henri, and I've been on the youth team for almost 2 years. My mum died the day before my 11th birthday, and it was a sudden and unexpected death, so we don't know why she died. And it's been a kind of complicated and long process to kind of understand that. With the not knowing, it's been a extra challenge, and since being on the youth team, it's helped a lot to talk about it with other people that have a similar experience and understand. I got diagnosed with ADHD almost a year ago, and since my diagnosis, I've understood a lot more about my grief journey and process. As growing up undiagnosed, lots of common ADHD traits I used to take as a response to my mum dying, and looking back on it now that I'm older, I've realised that I didn't deal with the death of my mum as much as I thought I had in the moment. And then I recently, 3 months ago, went on medication which helped with ADHD traits, and since then I've looked back on my grief journey so far and have a whole new perspective on it now that I understand how and why I feel certain ways that relate to ADHD and weren't necessarily related to grief. Don't know if you felt the same with that.
Yeah, I didn't really get it's still like a semi-diagnosis because the process takes years.
Yeah.
And I was in college, so 17 or 18. All my ADHD traits and symptoms were seen by the college as behavioural issues. So, finding out that is like how my brain actually works makes a lot of sense as to the little like outbursts I always have from a young age. We always just thought, you have anger issues as a kid or similar, but my reactions to anything even minor, like I don't even know, I probably threw a tantrum once because I wanted something for dinner and I did not get it. And you don't know how to actually like just control it or like regulate your emotions. Thinking back to how I was in school, when I undiagnosed throughout the whole of secondary school.
Same.
I honestly don't know how they didn't pick up on it. But then there's the whole thing about it's easier for people to notice it in boys than girls.
Yeah.
Portray it differently. But now knowing how my ADHD makes me act, ever since the first week after found out my sister died, because it was unexpected as well, like you said with your mum, I would laugh when I was telling people.
Yeah, I used to do that a lot as well.
So yeah, I wonder if that's like a not really knowing how to, or they're not wanting to get sad, because when I get sad, I get really sad. So I just laugh it off. But
yeah, kind of like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Because I'm 22 now, I got diagnosed when I was 21. Like females do get diagnosed a bit later on. But I think an added element to make it more complex was when I acted certain ways or behaved certain ways or led my life a certain way, it was kind of put on, she's like that because her mum's just died. And I think if I hadn't had what happened with my mum, it could have possibly been picked up sooner. Lots of things with school were missed because I hardly went in. And because I wasn't going in, I was thinking I'm at home sad, acting this way because my mum's just died. But looking back on it now and lots of ADHD traits, I had really bad ADHD paralysis.
I was going to say that seems like it.
That was what I had really badly. That was one of my main symptoms from it. And since being diagnosed and then being on medication and having a new experience with kind of how I do life, I've looked back on that and thought it wasn't just me in my room, not talking, doing anything, not leaving my bed for got to months. That wasn't because my mum had died. It was also the ADHD traits kind of all mixed together. And I still don't know what's grief and what's kind of how I was. Is all kind of, I think, for me, kind of mixed together. So I still don't fully understand the difference between the two because I don't know. But I think understanding ADHD as an adult now, looking back, I've realised I wasn't as upset about my mum as I thought I was.
Yeah.
And I think my way of dealing with the emotions was kind of all or nothing. I was either really sad about it or thought about it and it wouldn't affect me. There's no kind of middle ground of stable emotions. And it's been like that now for 11 and a half years. Now that I'm on my medication and my symptoms are being managed, I've got better at thinking about what happened with my mum and reflecting on it and just thinking about her and what happened surrounding her death a lot more. And I feel a lot more able to think about it. And now I'm getting more upset as I grow up. And I think all of this was kind of my brain just couldn't process it. It's left me just a bit confused still. I don't think I'll ever fully understand it.
Yeah. Well, as well, what you said with the that you thought you were more sad than you actually were about your mum. It's almost like if people like at school or professionals are telling you how you are feeling, then that's, you don't really think it like could be anything else. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
mum's died, stay in bed all day. That's probably what everyone would think is the reason anyway. The ADHD paralysis sucks so much.
Yeah.
And it is just like overwhelming emotions, or with me as well, overwhelming tasks. So if I know I have loads to do, then I freeze and I can't get out at all. Yeah, exactly what you said about like it's either, you know, bottom end of not really thinking about it or completely overreacting in the moment. I get like that as well. I always mess this up. She passed in 2017, so I think it might be coming up to 8 years. 35, 8 years. Yeah. And sometimes I forget about it completely. I think when life is busy and at uni, and especially because she didn't live at home, so she was always with the same dad, so she was always at her mum's house. So she was always out the picture, but she was always there. Yeah, so I forget about her for periods, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my brain switches and is like, oh no, you don't have a sister anymore. Let's drive yourself crazy about it. And it was only a couple months ago, I did drive myself a little crazy, and I put it before all my uni work, but it's just because my brain kept it silent and then ramped it up for no reason. And I was stalking Facebook. I always stalk Facebook, just hoping that I find like pictures of her from her friends' accounts that are posted I haven't seen. And I know that in Liverpool, where she passed, there's a bench somewhere which is for her, and I haven't been up to Liverpool at all. So I went on to, I found this website. It's actually really creepy because I found my sister's memorial page, and so I created an account. I messaged the account that posted it, and I was like, oh my God, like it's a little glimmer of hope. Do you know my sister? And then she was like, no, it just, I just got given that one, or I found it on another website, so I just put it on here. And I was like, that also feels like a bit of an invasion of privacy.
No, I understand that.
So I thought I had that for a second. I didn't. And then I went through digging more. I run the funeral home. I was like, do you know any of these details? They didn't. It was like a complete dead end of searching. And I think I hyperfixated on that for about a week or two and then stopped trying or kind of forgot again. It's weird.
Yeah, I've had similar things about hyperfixating on anything and then can't do anything else unless I get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Or I know that I won't get an answer, but I know that I've tried.
Yeah.
Is when I think my brain can let it go. And I think that kind of links back to how my mum died, because I don't know. And I think for a child to suddenly lose someone close to them, first thing I kind of asked was like, how, why? And you don't know. I think I've always now, my brain wants to know why everything and anything happens, regardless of situation. And I don't really think about it. And then I'll suddenly think about what happened with her. And I get really stressed because I then kind of sit there and I'm like really agitated because I'm like, actually, I don't know why my mum's died. So I think it's kind of an ongoing thing, kind of hyperfixating on details that you can't control. Like when you tried to contact and didn't get anywhere, it's a bit like, will my brain let this go yet or not?
With my ADHD, I get really bad short-term memory loss. Like awful. I couldn't tell you what I did yesterday. Usually my long-term is pretty good, but then what I've noticed, and I actually only really clocked it when I was writing down, like, and thinking about this episode, was I've actually forgotten what her voice was. I can probably think in my head, I'm like trying to think if I can hear it, but then I think I might just be tricking myself into because I want to still remember it.
Yeah.
I actually don't. I just know that she has an accent and that's about it.
Yeah, I can't remember my mum's voice anymore. I do get upset thinking that I probably will never hear it again because I don't have any videos of my mum. I have lots of photos and pictures, but I don't have any videos of her. There's one video that I found deep in the depths of the internet. I was having one of my, suddenly my brain's going to be sad that my mum's dead out of nowhere moment. And I thought, oh, there must be something online about her. My mum didn't really use social media or anything. And all I have is photos of her. And I really wanted like a video. So I went to my primary school's website, social media. There was something on their website about a school carol service. And then I suddenly remembered my mum used to sing in the parents' choir. I then went onto YouTube and typed in my school and then parents' choir. And my mum's the thumbnail of the video. Really didn't help that they're singing like a really emotional, sad kind of opera type hymn, and my mum's right in the front at the middle. And that was my first time in 8-9 years seeing a video of my mum, and it really kind of overwhelmed me because I love all the pictures I have of her, but seeing her, I don't know if it makes sense, like her like alive in a video, because with a still image I don't get the same feeling seeing her like alive, moving, singing. Since then I haven't tried to look for anything else. I've got the video screen recorded on my phone and I haven't watched it since now, which is like, I do get really sad thinking about my mum's been out of my life longer than she was in it. And lots of those years I was so young. I don't remember as much about her anymore. And that one video is the only thing I feel like I have left to fully remember what she was like, but I'm not watching it and I haven't watched it since. I don't know if I'm just avoiding hard feelings.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I completely get what you mean about a video is entirely different to like a photo or a snapshot.
Yeah.
Because it kind of reminds you that they were a person like they were here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do have one video, which is my family used to record a lot on like camcorders, and we put them onto tapes, and there's loads of tapes in the cupboard, and I was going through them, like most of them were football games and stuff that my dad had recorded, and then my sister came up on one, and it's her, and she was like 12 or 13, and I was a baby in her arms, so I obviously don't actually remember it, but then it's one, I can hear her voice in that. It's very high pitched and squeaky, and nothing like what her voice was like when she grew up. I sometimes feel like my grief isn't, I don't know what the right word is, but like, I feel like it doesn't count sometimes. I think because she was my half sister. We shared the same dad. She lived like 6 hours away from when I did, and we only got to see each other when she could come down. But I was old enough to remember her more than my brother doesn't really at all. So that video is like us together. It's not just a photo. You know, when you see extended family and they're like, take a family pictures to show that we met each other. Like, she was actually there, and so was I. So yeah, I really love that. There's still photos from that day that I've got in an album somewhere, but the video is like completely different.
Yeah. Do you find yourself kind of looking back and frequently watching it at all? Or are you kind of avoiding it like I am?
I think when I saw the tape as well, I recorded it on my phone because I thought I want to keep this. And then a couple days ago, you know, like Snapchat memories pop up, and then recording popped up, and I saw the image of it, and I clicked past it. I was like, I can't do it. Not in the moment.
Yeah.
I think
Snapchat's always shoving things you weren't looking for in your memories up.
Yeah, but if I'm sad about it, then I'll go to look for the pictures and the videos because you're sad already. So
yeah,
go for it like that. But yeah, sometimes I do watch it. It's also a bit sad that like you said with your mum's video, it's on YouTube. That's like the only video I have.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I did find some on Facebook before that her friends had posted up of her, and then her account stayed up for a good couple of years after she passed, to be fair, and then it got taken down. And I did screenshot some of the photos, but I wish that I had in that moment like downloaded or screen recorded whatever I could, because like just that's really what you have.
Yeah, I think all these little moments that you don't think are important at the time become so much more important. Because I was at the carol service watching my mum sing in the choir, and I was probably sitting there thinking, I'm so bored, I've been sat at this service for hours, I want to go home. And now I look back on it, and that moment is the only moment I have of my mum alive in a video.
Yeah.
That's all I have now, which I find quite kind of scary in a way, because for her whole life, all I've got to remember her by now is one blurry screen recorded video and photos, and all the memories I have with her. Lots of them, because I'm so young, when things that our family did when we were younger comes up, I then feel kind of guilty that I don't fully remember them, but then I remind myself I was so young.
Yeah.
And I think, looking back, be a bit like less hard on myself for not remembering things, because it happened when I was turning 11. So I was really young. And I think growing up now and looking back on it, I don't feel as guilty about not remembering certain things anymore.
I think with my ADHD, and I'm not sure about you as well, but I dread change. I hate it. And I think when change does happen, I kind of freeze or freak out a little. And then that also is the same for like life and time moving on. So I don't want to go. It's really weird, and I always try to explain it to people, but I don't like going to bed at night, or I don't like going to sleep, because it's my peaceful time and I'm there, and I don't like the fact that when I go to sleep, time is moving and I can't do anything about it. Like I just had my 21st birthday, and it's like it's bittersweet because it's a big birthday,
Yeah.
but also my sister passed when she was 27, and I just feel like I am so quickly getting closer and closer to me being 27, and then it's like I'm going to outlive my older sister.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Similar kind of thought process behind the years I've had with and without my mum. Yeah. I take it as kind of like a reality check for me that she's gone,
Yeah.
because when I look at the time frames, it kind of hits me a bit more. If that's kind of how you feel about getting older, similar age to your sister, does it make you feel a bit more kind of make it feel more real because you're growing up and she's kind of not growing up as well, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I get to the age my mum was when she died, it feels weird that I'd be like living longer than someone that's always been the older person in your life.
I completely get that. I think it comes with as well the fact that dying unexpectedly, like you had all these plans in your head and that person was just automatically going to be there. Like,
Yeah.
I always thought about when I could drive. I was waiting until I could drive, and then, we could do things together, or, at what, 12, 13, younger, you just want to go shopping. Like, shopping sprees with your big sister. Um, or I couldn't wait for her to have kids. That was what I wanted, was for her to have children so I could be an auntie. And you just honestly, you don't think of it being any different until it happens
Yeah.
to you. But yeah, so it definitely does feel weird, like outgrowing or, you know, hitting milestones in your life that maybe that person didn't get to.
Yeah. It kind of definitely adds more depth to kind of my grief, kind of understanding the concept of me doing things that my mum will never do, the milestones in my life that she won't be there for. I think I I've had like my 18th and 21st birthday and I've moved to uni, and I've had sudden memory that of my mum, and then I realised, oh, she's not here. Like when I moved into uni and saw everyone arriving and they had their mums, I was there with my dad, which is great that he was there with me, but I just felt like my mum should be there as well. And I think when I get older and if I want to have children and if I want to get married, I'm going to suddenly get a sudden shock when that person isn't there for these type of events. And I think it'll also be me realizing how much I've grown and how much my life has changed without that person there anymore. All my mum has known about me is me being a young kid that loved dancing and gymnastics and loved playing the flute and was at primary school. And the person I am now is I'm at uni doing graphic design, and I'm not a dancer as my job. I have a completely different job and whole new interests, and it's kind of like she'll never know that. Like she would want to know that. The last thing my mum saw of me is just so different to me in my life now.
Have you ever wrote letters to your mum, which obviously you don't send, but it's almost like you're telling her that stuff about you?
I've never done that. I've had people suggest that and tell me they've done it before and that it worked really well for them. But I think with me, I never really sit and write how I feel. I've never done like diaries, journals, or anything like that. So it would be kind of a new thing for me to do. And I just haven't really pictured myself doing it and it helping, but I haven't given it a go. And I know it makes a lot of people kind of process how they feel better. I just haven't tried it. Have you tried it and done
No.
it?
I'm yet to. Again, people say it all the time, but I know after she did die, I did write a letter to her, which was a lot more of me just being mad at her. Or sometimes there's like really nice sunset spots up by where I go to uni. So first year, I think, of uni, I drove up there when it was like her anniversary, and it was really quiet, which is a change, and just kind of sat and thought. I remember I'd like it all like sad, emotional. I had little like a little sit and a think, and then I got bird poo all over my shoe where I was sat, and I kid you not, I actually, like, it made me laugh. I was like, that is so stop being sad and just, get on with it from her.
It's meant to be good luck.
Yeah, it is supposed to be good luck. But no, I found that quite funny because I was being all like sad and emotional, and then that happened. And I was like, that is definitely like a sibling kind of thing to laugh about. So
Yeah,
just like little moments. I think one thing that's important to say for anyone that's listening of any age, especially since we spoke a lot about ADHD and dealing with our emotions like that, if you have lost someone and you don't quite understand your emotions, or you might feel like you're not grieving correctly because of how people say that you should, or you see it portrayed elsewhere, it is completely okay to be confused, but also speak to someone about it. Sometimes just talking out loud and explaining your brain can help it to make a lot more sense to you, and then also for you to get some help, because not understanding can be really frustrating.
Yeah. I always think it's good to remind yourself that there's no right or wrong way to feel about a situation so personal, because I don't cry much about my mum, and I always used to think that was wrong, because I used to think if something sad or something bad's happened, you cry or you get upset, and growing up I didn't do that as often as I thought I should. So I think it's good to remind yourself no right or wrong way to feel, and everyone copes and deals with emotions their own way, and not to compare yourself to others, and do what's your best way of kind of navigating your own grief.
Thank you, Henri, for chatting on here today about this. And to everyone listening, thank you for watching another episode of Grief in Common.
This podcast is brought to you by Talk Grief, powered by Winston's Wish, the UK's first children and young people's bereavement charity.
Listen to young people from different backgrounds have honest conversations about their grief and experiences.
You might hear us laugh, cry, and everything in between.
We hope that these conversations give you the confidence to talk about your own grief.
If you're grieving and over the age of 13, this podcast is suitable for you, and we hope it helps you feel less alone.
From teenagers to young adults, students to young professionals, we're all different, but we've all got grief in common. Thank you.